What's up, guys? Coming to you today with Week 6 college football action on a packed Saturday of NCAA football here on October 4th. We're going to cover a bunch of the biggest games of the day, and I'll be covering the 4 MLB playoff games we have today. I'll also give you my favorite lock of the day and my favorite underdog pick of the day, so slam that like button and subscribe to the channel to make sure you keep seeing these videos every single day. Let us know your thing in the comments. I personally read and answer every comment I get. Check the pinned comment throughout the day to see our favorite picks, and you should definitely check back a couple of times throughout the day to see if there are any changes with injury news coming out and personnel changes coming in at the last second. Now, unfortunately, there for the third, it wasn't a very busy day. We had those 5 college football games to break down. Unfortunately, none of those have finished as of yet. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to recap how the premium picks did over there on October 2nd. Didn't get a chance to break those down in the last video, so we're going to look at them here tonight. Right off the bat, guys, it was a great start today. Our premium NFL capper had the 49ers at +9, got in on that as a 1-unit play, and he almost took them there on the money line, he said, and they end up coming through at +9. So a very, very good pick by him. He also had Corum there, under 29.5 rushing yards for a quarter of a unit, cashed that one. Had Jake Tonjes, someone who I was very high on in that game, at +400 as a nice little player prop there to score a touchdown, and he gets the job done. He also had the Cubs as a 1-unit play, and they do come through with the win there to secure their move on to the next round of the playoffs. The only loss keeping it from being a perfect night was the Guardians there as a 1-unit play. So it was a very, very good night out there for the premium members. Hopefully we're in for a good night here on the 3rd, and hopefully we're in for a very good day out there on Saturday. So let's go ahead and dive in, look at what we got to work with. We got a ton of college football games out there, a loaded Saturday of action. First up, we're going to be looking at the Air Force Falcons going on the road to take on the Navy Midshipmen. In a bit of a rivalry game here, we see Air Force coming in, not having a great season so far. They're 1-3 overall, so not great. They beat Bucknell in Week 1, kept it relatively competitive against Utah State in Week 2, kept it very close against Boise State in Week 3, and then very competitive once again against Hawaii there in Week 4. So they've had their chances, they just haven't been able to come up with the wins. This is a pretty interesting Air Force team. They've done some good stuff. They kind of are predictable with the way they're going to try and move the ball. I mean, we did like what we saw last week against Hawaii. They played really well. The passing game was working, the running game was working, and just a lot of positives. They did have one turnover, but the problem is their defense just seems atrocious. Air Force, not a very good defensive team. They are 131st in the nation in points against per game. So that's not great. Gonna have to clean that up a little bit here as they go up against the Navy Midshipmen, who are 4-0 on the season. They got off to a great start against VMI, winning 52-7. Took care of UAB 38-24. A blowout win there against a decent Tulsa team, 42-23, but then beating Rice. That game was a lot closer, 21-13, closer than we would have expected for sure. Definitely thought Navy would win that game in a blowout, and they did just kind of let Rice get back into that game late. They did have the game pretty much in control. They were, their running attack, that weird option attack, was really, really working. 283 yards on the ground and 3 touchdowns. So very good stuff there. They did have the 1 turnover, so something to work on. They only gave up 13 points though, and this Navy team, while they're obviously amazing there offensively moving the ball, their defense is excellent as well. They are 30th in the nation, giving up 16.8 points per game. That is not bad at all. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see Navy, they're 13.5 point favorites. We've got a total of 51.5 in this game. Air Force, they're 1-3 against the spread this year. Navy's 2-2 against the spread. Guys, we're going to take Navy here, despite the fact this line has gone up to 13.5. We liked it a lot better when it was 11.5. They bring in the clear edge on the defensive side of the ball in this matchup. The Midshipmen, 29th in the nation yards allowed. Air Force, they're 125th in the nation yards allowed. Navy was one of our favorite group of 5 teams coming into the year, given their veteran quarterback play. And yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibility for them to put together a strong enough resume to make a play for a spot in the college football playoff, as wild as that sounds. Navy wasn't quite as convincing as we were expecting last week in their win over Rice, but when you look at the numbers, it's clear they dominated that game, just didn't all show up there on the scoreboard. So definitely give us Navy here to get the win and cover by a couple touchdowns. Next up, guys, we're looking at number 22 Illinois going on the road to take on Purdue. Illinois 4-1 on the year, coming off that big win last week, taking down USC 34-32. They're 4-1 on the season. Their only loss was against number 19 Indiana, and that was a road game. They did get blown out in that game, so maybe let's not freak out too much. I mean, it was a road game. They blew out Duke earlier this season. Like, this is a very, very solid looking team. And last week, it was a close game, but they do come out on top in a very, very big game. I mean, we loved what we saw from Luke Altmaier, 2 touchdown passes, 328 yards to the air. The running game was working. The passing game was obviously working. If they hadn't fumbled it away twice, this game would have been nearly as close. And those are very, very fixable mistakes. Now, they did look a little susceptible to the pass, giving up 364 passing yards, but UCLA is a very good, talented team. So we'll see. Maybe they're able to clean things up a little bit in this one on the defensive side of the ball. Over the course of this season, they're 71st in points against, giving up 23.4 per game. They're also 40th in the nation in total offense, so in total points scored. So this is a team that can definitely find a way to put the ball in the end zone. They're going up against a Boilermakers team that's 2-2 on the year. They've lost their last 2 in a row. They got blown out by USC, 33-17, so that's not exactly a great look. I mean, you beat Ball State and South Illinois in the first 2 weeks of the season, great. Getting blown out by USC and then blown out there at Notre Dame, 56-30. Not exactly a great look there for Purdue. Maybe this isn't a team that can keep things competitive. I mean, didn't love what we saw from them in terms of quarterback play last week. It wasn't a complete disaster, but 2 total interceptions. They're playing multiple different quarterbacks still, which is not a good look. The running game was not working at all. Just not a very good day offensively, despite the fact they do end up with 30 points on the board. Defensively, it was a bloodbath. They gave up 56 points, couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass, couldn't stop anything, only generated 1 turnover. Like, it was a brutal day there for the Boilermakers. And over the course of the season, they're 88th in the nation in points against. They're 118th in rushing yards. Like, this just isn't a team that I respect very much. So looking at the numbers here, guys, Purdue's getting 8.5 points at home. We've got a total of 55.5 in this game. Illinois, they're 4-1 against the spread this season. Purdue is 2-2 against the spread. Guys, I love Illinois here, -8.5. We liked Illinois to show some fight last week coming off that brutal loss, and they certainly didn't disappoint us, upsetting USC there. What was even more impressive is they were able to grab the win despite fumbling on the goal line twice. Should not have been a close game at all. Purdue's one of the weaker teams in the Big Ten. We've seen that with their back-to-back double-digit losses against USC and Notre Dame. We're looking for Illinois to bring some positive momentum from that USC win as they go on to win and cover this spread. Next on the docket, guys, we're going to be looking at the Boston College Eagles going on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers. Boston College comes into this game only 1-3 on the year. Haven't had a great time. They're coming off a very respectable game. They're actually 3 very respectable games. A blowout win in week 1 against Fordham, but then losing by 2 at Michigan State. That's a tough loss, a very competitive game. Losing by 10 there at Stanford, another close one. And then last week, a heartbreaker at home. They lost 28-24 against Cal. It was a relatively good game there from Boston College. A couple interceptions. That was a killer. The running game, though, was fully online, though. Turbo Richard, great name. 171 yards on 15 carries and 2 touchdowns. Absolutely dominant stuff from him. If it wasn't for those interceptions, they probably would have won this game because the defense wasn't too terrible either. They came with an interception of their own, slowed down but didn't stop the passing attack. They did give up a good amount to the run, but overall not a bad defensive day really there from Boston College. And over the course of the year, their passing game has really been their strength. It was really a weird off day for them last week, so I do expect them to be better this week. 126 in the nation rushing yards, not the norm of what you expect to see there from Boston College. So I'm expecting a nice bounce back from them in this game as they go on the road to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers. Now, Pitt, they're 2-2 on the year. Kind of a major disappointment if you ask me. Winning against Duquesne and Central Michigan, cool, but then losing by a touchdown to West Virginia and then losing by a touchdown there against Louisville. Not a great look for a team that was supposed to be very competitive there towards the top of the ACC, and it just doesn't look like that's going to be their reality. In that game against Louisville, the pass was mediocre. I can only say mediocre. Holstein got picked off twice, only completed 14 of 26 passes. The running game didn't really get going. Like, they fumbled the ball away twice. You can't turn the ball over 5 times. It's just starting to look like this Pitt team is maybe just straight up bad. So we'll see what they can do here, going up against Boston College. I mean, Pitt, over the course of the season, they are 60th in the nation in defense. They are 18th in passing yards, 18th in points for, but a lot of those numbers come from those blowout wins in their first 2 games. Their 2 games against real competition, real ACC competition, did not look very good. So we'll see what happens in this one. Looking at the numbers, we see Pitt, they are 7-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 57.5. Boston College is 2-2 against the spread, so is Pitt. Guys, I'll take Boston College here getting a full touchdown for sure. I think they're better than what their 1-3 record would indicate, as this team ranks a strong 4th in the nation in passing and 35th in total offense. Boston College coming off 3 straight fairly competitive losses like we saw against some pretty decent opponents. I think they're going to stay very competitive in this matchup. Pittsburgh completely fell off during the second half last week at home against Louisville, and the Panthers have run out of steam late in each of their last 2 games. Pitt even decided to go try their backup quarterback in the 4th against Louisville, which is not a great sign when you're scrambling for answers like that. So we will certainly be taking Boston College here, getting 7, and this is going on the list as a potential dog of the day. Hey guys, hopping here with a quick shout out to the sponsor of today and every day's video, and that is StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and see the top confidence picks from our entire team of experienced cappers. Right now, our premium members are getting daily MLB, UFC, NFL, college football, and very soon we'll be getting daily NHL and NBA picks. As soon as those seasons start up, those picks are going to be there in the premium section every single day. So definitely get over there to StumpTheSpread.com and check that out. Those premium picks might not and usually will not always match what you see here in the video, as I'm not the premium MLB, NFL, UFC, college football, or NHL capper over there at Stump the Spread. We have a team of experienced cappers covering every major sport. Each guy has at least a decade or more experience covering his given sport, so we have the experience. This has been going on for a long time, guys. Definitely get over there and check that out, but also get over there to StumpTheSpread.com and check out all the free stuff we offer. We have exclusive free picks that are only posted over there at StumpTheSpread.com. We have our free to use bet size calculator, and you got to get over there to StumpTheSpread.com to get on our free email list. Just click the link down in the description to go to StumpTheSpread.com. Sign up for a free account. All you have to do is give them your name and your email address. That's it. You'll get one email straight to your inbox or spam folder. So check your spam folder every single day. That'll have at least 1, sometimes 2 or 3 free picks in that email. Parlays are included in those emails. Information on niche sports betting like golf, WNBA, NASCAR, tennis, big write-ups on all the major sports as well. NHL stuff's going to be coming out very soon. Like tons and tons of great information. Player props are in there all the time as well. So definitely get on that email list, guys. It's a fantastic resource for any serious sports bettor, and it's absolutely free and 0 effort once you have signed up. So definitely get in on that. In terms of the results for our premium picks here on the 3rd, it's a little bit too early to know which way these games are going to go, but Western Kentucky at +2.5 as a 2-unit play is looking really good right now. New Mexico at +2.5 is another premium play. Those are just the 2 premium plays out there on a very short slate of college football action, and really nothing else cooking in the sports world. But we've got tons of MLB premium picks over there at StumpTheSpread.com for tomorrow's games, and obviously 7, 5, something like that. A bunch of premium NCAA football content for Saturday as well. So definitely get in on that if you guys are interested. And also, if you're a huge fan of what you're seeing from us here every single day, click that little join button right below the video to sign up for a YouTube channel membership. YouTube channel members get early access to all of our videos, get their name up on screen in every single video, but more importantly, they get access to our members only giveaways. We put the name of every single member in a big wheel. We spin it live on the video every single week. The next giveaway is going to be on the 6th, and whoever wins that spin on the wheel, they get a free Stump the Spread hoodie mailed straight to their address of choice. So definitely get in on that if you guys are interested, but we got to go ahead and dive back in. We've got a ton more football games to cover, and then we have the entire MLB slate to cover. So let's go ahead and get back after it. Next up, we're going to be looking at the Wisconsin Badgers as they go on the road to take on the number 20 Michigan Wolverines. Wisconsin comes into this game fresh off of back-to-back losses, beating Miami of Ohio and MTSU in the first 2 weeks were pretty much givens, but then a 38-14 blowout there at Alabama, and then maybe worse, a 27-10 blowout loss there at the hands of Maryland. Turns out Wisconsin maybe not that good this year at football, guys, because it didn't look great. We technically saw 4 different guys throw passes, but 2 different quarterbacks were used there in that game against Maryland, and neither one of them had a particularly great time. The running game couldn't get going at all, which is maybe even a bigger concern, and defensively, giving up 27 points to Maryland is not the end of the world, I suppose, but it was not a great defensive effort. And through their 2 games against legit competition, Wisconsin just has not looked great. They're 110th in the nation in rushing yards. They're 89th in passing yards. Like, I just don't have a lot of great things to say about the Wisconsin Badgers right now. So we'll see what they can do against number 20 Michigan. The Wolverines are 3-1 on the year. They did lose 24-13 against Oklahoma, but other than that, they've been taking care of business. A blowout win in week 1 against New Mexico, that loss against Oklahoma, a 63-3 win against Central Michigan, and then they went to Nebraska, got the 30-27 win last week there at Nebraska. So we'll see if they can carry that momentum into this game. We liked what we saw against Nebraska, the running attack, man. When you can just run the ball like that, there's not a whole lot the the opponent can do. And they combined for 33 carries, 286 yards, and 3 touchdowns in the ground game last week against the Cornhuskers. Dominant stuff. Now, defensively, it wasn't amazing. They also did turn the ball over once, but defensively, they created 1 turnover, gave up 3 touchdown passes, so that is a bit of a concern, but is that a huge concern in this matchup against Wisconsin? I would say probably not. And over the course of their season, the Wolverines are still 8th in the nation in rushing yards per game, 33rd in points against. Like, this team can play some defense. So looking at the numbers here, the Wolverines are minus 17. We've got a total of 43.5 in this game. Wisconsin's 1-3 against the spread. Michigan is 2-2 against the spread. I'll take Michigan here at minus 17. We liked Michigan to show progress throughout the regular season as it takes time for a freshman quarterback to develop and adapt to the college game, but Bryce Underwood has been even better than expected with what he's brought to the Wolverines. Michigan showed a lot of fight in their last outing, getting a solid win on the road against Nebraska, a tough team and a tough place to play. Michigan is trending up, while Wisconsin is in even worse shape than we expected coming into this year, especially on offense, where they're 115th in the nation in yardage. So not looking great there for Wisconsin. I definitely think Michigan wins this one very, very comfortably. Rolling right along here, guys, we got UTSA, the Roadrunners, going on the road to take on the Temple Owls. UTSA is 2-2 on the season. Losing at Texas A&M in week 1 is pretty much a given. Losing against Texas State in week 2 wasn't great, but they took down Incarnate Word in a blowout. And then last week, they beat Colorado State 17-16 in a nail-biter, but they do come through with the win in the end. The quarterback play didn't look amazing, a couple interceptions there, but the running game, Robert Henry Jr. is a monster, guys. 21 carries, 144 yards, and a touchdown there. Dominant stuff. The defense looked great as well, giving up only 16 points, slowing down the run and pretty much stopping the pass. So very, very good stuff there defensively. The Roadrunners, definitely a solid rushing team, one of the best in the nation, in the top 35, and the passing yards aren't great. The defense looked bad against the good teams, but looked really, really good here against the bad teams. So we'll see what they do against Temple. Probably a team that falls into the bad category. We will see. They beat UMass. They beat Howard. Congrats. They lost 42-3 against Oklahoma, and then they lost 45-24 at Georgia Tech. Last week, it wasn't great. Temple didn't get a lot of things going in the right direction. The passing game, terrible. Absolutely terrible. They're trying out a couple different quarterbacks now. It was so bad. The running game was okay, but definitely not dominant. And defensively, they couldn't stop anything there that was going on for Georgia. So Temple having a rough time. They're not a very good defensive team. They're not a very good passing team. So we'll see what happens in this one. Temple, they are getting 6.5 points here at home. We've got a total of 58 in this game. UTSA, they're 2-2 against the spread. Temple's actually 3-1 against the spread, but guys, we are backing UTSA getting, at less than a touchdown favorites. We had them ranked quite a bit higher than Temple coming into the season, and even though the Roadrunners haven't had the greatest results, we give them some leeway given the competitive non-conference schedule they did face. We feel better about UTSA on the offensive side of the ball in comparison to Temple. The Roadrunners returning starting quarterback Owen McGowan gives us a lot more confidence in them than Temple starter Evan Simon. Even if he's going to be the full-time starter, we don't even know. Even with the turnovers, they were able to grab a nice win on the road against Colorado State there. The Roadrunners were, and in their last outing, they've just shown a lot of positive stuff. They can come through on the road, and we like them to show their offensive edge in this matchup. Next up, guys, we're looking at one of the biggest games of the day. We got number 16 Vanderbilt going on the road to take on number 10 Alabama. The Vanderbilt Commodores are 5-0 on the season. Blowout wins in their first 2 games, taking down number 11 South Carolina 31-7 in South Carolina. Was crazy. A 70-21 win against Georgia State, and then last week a 55-35 win over Utah State. This team can absolutely move the ball. They can absolutely score it. Loved what we saw from Diego Pavia. 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 321 yards to the air. He also had a rushing touchdown and nearly 80 yards on the ground. This kid can do it all. And defensively, giving up 35 points doesn't look great, but when you do that against Utah State, I'm willing to give you a little bit of leeway, especially if you're going to score 55 points. This is one of the best offenses in the nation, and defensively, they're still 31st in the nation in points against. So a lot of positives for Vanderbilt. They're about to take on an Alabama Crimson Tide team that has also done some great things. They are in a bit of a letdown spot coming off that crazy 24-21 win at Georgia last week, beating the number 5 team in the nation in a rivalry game. Very, very cool stuff. We liked what we saw from Ty Simpson. 2 touchdown passes, 276 efficient yards through the air. The running game, though, wasn't great, and they're going to have to really up their game offensively unless that defense steps up in a crazy, crazy way, because they couldn't stop the run last week against Georgia, and that might spell problems here going up against Vanderbilt. We'll see what happens. Looking at the numbers, guys, we see the Crimson Tide are 11.5 point favorites at home. We've got a total of 56.5 in this game. Vanderbilt's 4-1 against the spread. Alabama's 3-1 against the spread so far this season. Guys, I'm siding with the underdog here. I'll give me Vanderbilt getting 11.5 points. This is a potential letdown spot for Alabama, like I was saying, coming off that upset win on the road against Georgia last week. Vandy is a very tough opponent. We saw that with Alabama losing against the Commodores last season. Vanderbilt has been money against the spread, crushing their expectations in blowout wins against Virginia Tech, South Carolina, and Georgia State in their last 3 outings. They're 14th in the nation offensive output as well as 21st in total defense. Alabama is 36th and 19th respectively. We see this being a very close, very competitive game with a very close result. Rolling right along here, guys, we're looking at the Virginia Cavaliers going on the road to take on the Louisville Cardinals. Number 24 Virginia comes into this game 4-1 on the season. They're coming off a big win there against number 8 Florida State, a 46-38 win. Other than that, they did have that loss against NC State, but overall, they've played really, really well this season, and that's how they end up in the top 25. They did need 2 overtimes to get that win against Florida State, but they do come away with the win defending home turf. Didn't love what we saw from Chandler Morris last week necessarily. He did get picked off 3 times, but definitely some mistakes that can be cleaned up there. The running game was very much on point, though. The several wide receivers having decent days. They took care of the ball other than those interceptions. The defense didn't have an amazing time, but did generate 3 turnovers, which were very, very key. They do struggle a little bit against the run. They held the pass kind of in check, though, so got to give them credit there where credit is due. Defensively, Virginia has done some good stuff this year, but the offense is really where it's at. They're 8th in the nation in points for and 12th in rushing yards. So we'll see what they can do here going on the road against a Louisville team that is 4-0 on the season, but they haven't really been tested too much. I guess they did win last week on the road at Pitt, but Pitt not looking so hot right now, so we'll see what's going on. Last week, they did have a very good performance there from Miller Moss. 3 touchdown passes, 1 interception, nearly 340 yards passing. The running game wasn't really the main focus, but it was a very good day out there. And defensively, they looked good, generating 3 total interceptions and 5 total turnovers. So a good day there for the Cardinals defensively. Are they a juggernaut defensively? We'll have to see. They are going to be tested in this one. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, Louisville, they are 6.5 point favorites. We've got a total of 60.5 in this game. Virginia is 4-1 against the spread. Louisville 1-3 against the spread, and that's why we're going to be leaning towards Virginia here, getting those 6.5 points. We've been higher than most on Virginia this season, given the addition there of transfer quarterback Chad Morris. We were very high on him at North Texas last year. This one could come down to whether or not Virginia is able to refocus their efforts and not have a letdown coming off that big upset over Florida State last week. Virginia, they're 5th in the nation offensive output, but their defense has been questionable at times. Given their offensive strengths, I think Virginia can compete against anyone in the ACC. We haven't been as positive on Louisville, and even though the Cardinals have been good, their injuries, particularly at the running back position, are going to catch up to them in this one. Definitely think the underdog is live. I think Virginia, if they can keep their heads on straight after that big upset, could potentially win this game straight up. Next on the docket, guys, we have the Syracuse Orange going on the road to take on the SMU Mustangs. Syracuse is 3-2 on the year. They got off to a rough start, getting blown out by Tennessee, reeled off 3 straight wins, including that big win there over Clemson. But then last week, injuries and other problems catching up there to Syracuse, and they take the 38-3 loss there against Duke. Not a great look for them. We'll see what they're able to do in this one, but yeah, that was a brutal game against a not very good Duke team. And look, no homer here, guys. I know Duke football not where it's at. They really couldn't. Syracuse couldn't do anything good. The passing game was terrible. The running game was barely getting off the ground. Defensively, they couldn't do much either, giving up 38 points. They couldn't stop the run. So life could be a little bit tough here for the Syracuse Orange as they go on the road to take on the SMU Mustangs. Now, the Mustangs are 2-2 on the year, a loss against Baylor in a game that was a crazy overtime performance. Could have gone either way. Last week, a loss against TCU. Their only wins are East Texas A&M and Missouri State, but in that loss against TCU last week, we saw some things that we actually did like. The passing game really got going. If Kevin Jennings wouldn't have thrown those 2 interceptions, things might have gone completely differently in this game. The running game would have been a little bit more opened up there too. Now, defensively, I definitely worry about SMU. They have not been amazing there on defense. They're 88th in the nation in points against, but they're 27th in passing yards. They're 45th in points for, so definitely some points there in the Mustangs' favor. And looking at the numbers, the odds makers are huge here on the Mustangs. They're 17.5 point favorites. We've got a total of 57 in this game. Syracuse is 2-2 against the spread. SMU still looking for their first against the spread win, and I think they get it in this game. I'm taking them minus 17.5. Syracuse did look great during their upset win on the road against Clemson, but ever since their starting quarterback went down, the Orange haven't looked the same. With their backup quarterback Collins, they got absolutely rolled by Duke last week, and SMU hasn't lived up to their high expectations coming into this year, but this is a great opportunity for them to show their worth at home against an opponent that's having a hard time figuring things out right now. And if SMU is going to compete at the top tier of the ACC, this is the kind of opponent they need to pull away from and have a blowout win against. So definitely think the Mustangs could win this game by 3+ touchdowns. Next on the docket, we've got a big game between the Boise State Broncos and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, Boise State's 3-1 on the season. That week 1 loss against South Florida didn't look great, but all of a sudden it's looking a lot more manageable. Beat East Washington, beat Air Force, and then beat Appalachian State in a blowout last week, and that's all great. Now a real test here for the Boise State Broncos. Last week, things were very easy. I mean, Maddox-Madsen, 4 touchdown passes, 321 yards through the air. They did whatever they wanted in the ground game, and the defense was dominant there against Appalachian State, but things could be a little bit tougher here against Notre Dame. I think they certainly will be. Now, the season-long numbers look great for the Broncos, but when you look at the level of competition they've played the last 3 weeks, it kind of all makes sense. Now, Notre Dame, they're 2-2 on the season after getting off to a rough start, losing a close one against Miami and then losing an insanely close one against Texas A&M. They blow out Purdue. They blow out Arkansas. Seems like they are very much back on track. I mean, in that blowout at Arkansas, guys, that was not pretty for the Razorbacks. We saw C.J. Carr, 4 touchdown passes, 354 yards through the air. We also saw Notre Dame do whatever they wanted on the running game, and the defense was completely stifling. So very good stuff there from the Fighting Irish. A big bounce back spot those 2 weeks for them after 2 heartbreaking losses to open the year. So looking at the numbers for this game, the Fighting Irish are 20.5 point favorites. We've got a total of 62.5 in this game. Boise State is 3-1 against the spread. Notre Dame's 2-2 against the spread, but I still like them to get the win and cover in this game. I feel like Notre Dame is a lot better than what their record would indicate, with a couple plays going their way in those tough couple week 1 and week 2 losses. They could be a top 5 team in the country right now. They flexed their muscles in that win against Arkansas last week in that blowout, and if they're going to have any sort of shot at the playoff, they basically need to continue to pile up strong resume building results, and this Boise State team could be an opportunity for that. They will be a top tier Mountain West squad. I'm much less confident in them playing against Power 4 opponents, though. Even against an American Conference opponent, Boise State looked bad on the road, losing to South Florida in a blowout in week 1. We look for Notre Dame to build off the strong momentum from last week's win and get another comfortable blowout here. Rolling right along here, guys, we've got the Washington Huskies heading to Maryland to take on the Terrapins. Washington, they're 3-1 on the season. They're coming off a tough 24-6 loss there against Ohio State. Their wins this year against Colorado State, UC Davis, and Washington State don't exactly look amazing. And last week against Ohio State, while they did do some good stuff, they got dominated there. The offense could not get going. I mean, they passed 173 yards and through the air and 70 yards on the ground. Like, just not a great day. They didn't turn the ball over, so that's nice, but defensively they couldn't stop Ohio State, couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass. It was a little bit rough out there in their first big test. Now, this is going to be their second big test, taking on a pretty solid Maryland team, so we'll see how things go. The Huskies do have some decent pieces, but Maryland has been looking amazing this year. They're 4-0, beating FAU, Northern Illinois, Townsend, and then a 27-10 win there at Wisconsin last week. Things are just working out right now for the Terrapins, obviously. I mean, very solid quarterback play last week. Malik Washington, 265 yards and 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions through the air. The running game wasn't really the focus, which makes sense with Octavian Smith Jr. catching 6 balls for 113 yards. So, yeah, the offense cruising for Maryland, and the defense looking maybe even more impressive, giving up only 10 points in that game, shutting down the run and shutting down the pass. So we'll see if they can keep doing that. They're currently 7th in the nation defensively in points against. That's crazy. 55th in points for. They're also a top 40 passing yards team. So a lot to like here about Maryland. And looking at the numbers, they're getting 5.5 points at home. We've got a total of 52.5 in this game. Washington and Maryland both 2-2 against the spread. I'll definitely take Maryland here getting 5.5 points. We've been overly negative on Maryland this season. That's been our bad. The Terps have been surprisingly strong, coming out undefeated against a manageable schedule. They've been better than expected, and a lot of that has to do with Malik Washington just being able to just walk into this job and look great right off the bat. Washington, they're coming off that physical home loss against Ohio State, and this is a tricky spot for the Huskies, now having to travel across the country and attempt to bounce back from that tough loss. I see this being a very competitive result. I like the home team here and the points. Next up, guys, we've got the Michigan State Spartans going on the road to take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Now, Michigan State, they are 3-1 on the season, but they've only been tested once. And that one test, they kind of failed with that 45-31 loss there at USC. Now, USC, not a walkover opponent, not like Western Michigan, Boston College, or Youngstown State, but Michigan State didn't really keep it quite as competitive as I would have hoped. I mean, it was not a bad game, but they ended up losing by 2 touchdowns. We liked what they were able to do through the air with those 3 touchdown passes, but the ground game, not quite as good as we would have hoped. They didn't turn the ball over, so that's all good, but defensively, man, it was rough. They didn't have any answer there for the passing game. Gave up 157 yards to Wayman Jordan and a total of 289 yards on the ground and 3 rushing touchdowns. They generated 1 fumble, like not a good day out there for the Michigan State Spartans. So they're definitely in need of a bounce back. Their season-long numbers don't look great, and they're taking on a Cornhuskers team that just took their first loss of the season. They beat Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian, then lost 30-27 against Michigan. A very tightly contested game there, I will say. Now, the Cornhuskers were able to move the ball through the air. Dylan Raiola, 3 touchdown passes, 1 interception. He did complete 30 of 41 passes. So they're asking him to do a lot through the air. The running game was okay, not necessarily amazing, and you mix a negative 49-yard run in there, all of a sudden things start to look pretty bad. But really, Nebraska was in position. They could have stolen this game. It was relatively close, but we'll see what they're able to do in this one, obviously going up against a pretty solid opponent here. And while some of the Nebraska numbers look great, they're 87th in rushing yards, and their strength of schedule has not been amazing except for that last week game. So looking at the numbers here, guys, the Cornhuskers are 12.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 49 in this game. Michigan State's 1-3 against the spread. Nebraska's 2-2 against the spread, and I'm going to be taking the road underdog in this one, guys. I'll take Michigan State getting 12.5 points. I don't feel like Nebraska has done enough to prove themselves worthy of this kind of spread here, especially going against a middle-tier Big Ten opponent. In their 2 tougher games, Nebraska has had very close results. That win against Cincinnati and a loss against Michigan. We wouldn't be shocked to see another close competitive result coming from the Huskers in this one. Michigan State growing there with quarterback Chili's, and his dual threat abilities could be a backbreaker for Nebraska in this one. I definitely see Michigan State having the value in this side with all those points. Next on the docket, guys, we've got a showdown in Texas between number 11 Texas Tech. They're going on the road to take on the Houston Cougars. Now, Texas Tech 4-0 on the season, top 11 or 11th in the nation right now, and a lot of that is thanks to coming off a very nice road win, a 34-10 win there at number 16 Utah. So very good stuff from Texas Tech in that one. Love what we saw from them in the passing game. Well, I say that when Will Heyman was under center, we loved it. When Morton was under center, it didn't look quite so good. The running game also looked playable. Definitely good day for some receivers out there. They did a great job not turning the ball over, except for those 2 interceptions. So we'll see what they're looking like in this one. But the defense was great. They had 2 interceptions of their own. Didn't let the Utah passing game get going at all. Didn't let them run the ball either. Like a very, very dominant defensive performance there from Texas Tech. They're currently 8th in the nation in points against, allowing 11 points per game. They're 1st in passing yards and 2nd in points per game. So dominant stuff there from Texas Tech. They're going on the road to take on an undefeated Cougars team that is 4-0, but when you beat Stephen F. Austin, Rice, Colorado, and Oregon State, I'm not going to throw you a parade. Now, that 27-24 win there on the road in overtime against the Oregon State Beavers is nice, but I don't know if Houston's really ready to run with the big dogs. We'll see. I mean, we liked what we saw from Connor Wiegman. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception isn't amazing. The running game was fine, but not great. Defensively, they gave up a lot there to Oregon State. They definitely could have lost this game. I mean, obviously, you see it end in overtime. So we'll see what they're able to do in this one. I'm not incredibly high on the Houston Cougars coming into this game necessarily, but we'll see how it goes. They are getting 11.5 points at home. We got a total of 51.5 in this game. Texas Tech, they're 4-0 against the spread this year. Houston's 3-1 against the spread. I'll be leaning towards Texas Tech on the road in this one. We've been very high on Texas Tech this season. We love the additions the Red Raiders made through the portal in the offseason. Everything's come together nicely for them so far. They're 2nd in the nation offensive output, 11th in total defense. Even with needing to go to their backup quarterback on the road against Utah in their last outing, Texas Tech looked incredible on both sides of the ball, beating a very good Utah squad 34-10. Houston came up well short of covering last week against a bad Oregon State squad, and we're skeptical of the Cougars having the ability to hang with an opponent like Texas Tech. Now, guys, hopping over to look at some MLB playoff action. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging here with the MLB stuff. I know this is the time of the year when it's the most exciting baseball we've got. And looking at our first game of the day, we've got the Chicago Cubs. They're going on the road in this one to take on the Milwaukee Brewers in an NL Central showdown. And the Cubs, they come into this game fresh off of winning 2 out of 3 there against the Padres to advance to this round. They're going to hand the ball in this game to Matthew Boyd. He had a pretty good year, 14-8, a 3.21 ERA. His last start, he did go against the Padres, and he was fine. 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run against a pretty offensively challenged Padres team. I'm not going to throw you a parade for that. We'll see what he can do here against the Brewers, a team that he faced back in late August and didn't have a great time. He gave up 6 hits, 4 runs in over 5 1/3 innings. And again, the Cubs did win 6-4, but it was not his fault. And actually, he's had back-to-back bad starts against Milwaukee. So I'm definitely worried about Matthew Boyd in this spot. The Cubs bullpen has been okay, so I'll give them some credit. But going up against the Brewers is going to be an awful lot different than going up against the Padres. And offensively, scoring 3-0 and 3 runs there against San Diego, I'm not too high on this offense coming into this game. I know they've got some nice bats and stuff, but yeah, I am just not wowed with what I've seen from Chicago there at the plate. So we'll see what they can do here against the Brewers. They come into this game, obviously they got to wait and rest and recoup. They get to start things off at the top of their rotation, and they'll hand the ball to Freddie Peralta. He had a great year, 17-6, a 2.70 ERA, had a very good end of the year. His last 3 starts were all excellent. We'll see what he can do here against the Cubs, a team he faced back in mid-August and was dominant. 6 innings, 1 hit, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks, and a 7-0 Milwaukee win. He did have a rough start against them back in the end of July, but he's had way more good starts this year against them than bad starts. So I'm expecting very good stuff in this one for Freddie Peralta. The Brewers bullpen has been much better down the stretch this season than it was in the early goings, and offensively, this has been one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. They finished the year 3rd in runs scored, 3rd in batting average, 2nd in on-base percentage, and they've got some very good history this year against Matthew Boyd. So looking at the numbers here, guys, the Cubs are plus 135. The Brewers are minus 160. We've got totals out there of 7 or 7.5. Chicago finished the year 42-39 on the road, 39-36-6 to the under on the road. Milwaukee 52-29 at home, 40-38-3 to the under at home. I'm not too interested in the total in this game, guys, but I'm very interested in the Brewers. I think they're going to win this game pretty comfortably. I'm expecting great stuff from Peralta, mediocre stuff from Boyd. I think the bullpen situation for these two teams is pretty much a push, and the Brewers definitely have the better offense, so unless they're super, super rusty, I think they're going to be in great shape for this game. Next up, guys, we're looking at the New York Yankees going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays here. Schlittler, monster performance there to get the Yankees here. They win 2 out of 3 there against the Red Sox, so well played there by the Yankees. They're going to hand the ball in game 1 of this series to Luis Gil, who's 4-1 on the year, a 3.32 ERA, coming off a very good start there against Baltimore, but hasn't pitched since the 28th. So we'll see if that makes any difference. I expect him to be pretty much fine. The last time he was on the mound against Toronto was back on the 6th, so not that long ago. Well, I guess about a month ago, so I guess a kind of long time ago. But he was great. 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run allowed, and a 3-1 Yankees win. So we'll see what he can do here going up against Toronto. I am worried about that Yankees bullpen. I mean, they've had a day off, so they should be pretty much ready to go. But still, it's just not a great bullpen, so that is a concern. Offensively, this juggernaut of a team scored 4-4-1 against the Red Sox. So I'm not nearly as terrified of this offense as you would think you were supposed to be. I mean, they did finish the year 1st in runs scored and 1st in slugging percentage. So congrats on that. We'll see what they can do going on the road here against the Blue Jays, who had a great year, ended up winning the AL East, but it got awfully close there at the end. They're going to hand the ball in game 1 to Kevin Gausman. He's 10-11 on the year, a 3.59 ERA. His last 2 starts of the season looked a little bit sketch, but the last time he faced the Yankees back on the 5th, 8 innings, 4 hits, 1 run allowed, and a 7-1 win there over the Yankees. So dominant stuff in that game, and his history this season against the Yankees, I feel like there are more games that are vaguely similar to that one. Yeah, he dominated them back in late July. He's really just, he had a bad start against them in April. Other than that, he has obliterated the Yankees. So we'll see what he can do. The Toronto bullpen is not great, but it's been better than the Yankees this season. The offense, while statistically not quite on the Yankees level, is real close. 4th in runs scored, 1st in batting average, 1st in on-base percentage, and they finished off their season with a very nice series, scoring a combined, 23 runs in 3 games there against the Rays. So they've got some relatively hot bats. We'll see if that counts here with a few days off. Looking at the numbers, the Yankees are plus 105, the Blue Jays are minus 125. We've got a total of 8 in this game. The Yankees are 44-37 on the road, 40-37-4 to the over on the road. Toronto 54-27 at home, 46-33-2 to the over at home. So I've got a couple of leans on this game that I think are reasonable. I will take the Blue Jays at home as a very small lean. I think this is close to a flip with Luis Gil on the mound. He's been really good. But better than that, guys, I'll just take under 8, or maybe even the no-run first inning. I don't think we're going to see some crazy high-scoring offensive series. Now, so you can take under in the first 5 potentially as well. Makes some sense to me, but I think unders are the way you want to go on this game. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the LA Dodgers going on the road to take on the Philadelphia Phillies. The Dodgers swept the Reds in that 3-game series to make it here, winning 10-5 and 8-4, having the best offensive series of any team out there. They're going to kick off this series going up against the Phillies by hitting the ball to Shohei Ohtani. He finished the year throwing the ball really, really well. There's really no way to sugarcoat that, guys. His last 3 outings looked very, very good. Gave up no runs over those 3 outings and dominant stuff against Baltimore. A 5-inning, no run, no hit, 1 walk, 5 strikeout appearance against the Phillies. In a game the Dodgers did eventually lose 9-6, and then 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, 8 strikeouts, and 0 walks against the Diamondbacks. This guy's a freak. Absolutely insano stuff that he can do. He does all this on the mound. He's also hit 55 home runs this year. So, yeah, Ohtani, an absolute monster. We'll see what he can do in this outing. He needs to have a good start. Probably needs to go deep into the game because the Dodgers bullpen, not great. Was getting into all kinds of trouble there against the Reds. It didn't come back to haunt him, but it wasn't looking amazing. Offensively, they're swinging the hottest bats in the game right now. 10 and 8 runs respectively over those first 2 games. Finished the year 2nd in runs scored, 2nd in slugging percentage. Like, this is one of the scariest offenses out there. So, we'll see what they can do here on the road against the Phillies, who finished the year 96 and 66, obviously playing really, really well. They get to rest and relax and wait for this game, and they get to set up their rotation exactly the way they want, and they're going to hand the ball in this game to Christopher Sanchez. He's 13-5 on the year, a 2.50 ERA. He's coming off a very good start against Minnesota. The last time he faced the Dodgers, didn't quite go as hot. 7 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned runs allowed, in a 9-6 win over the Dodgers. So they did win that game, but it was not Christopher Sanchez's fault. Just like the Dodgers, I'm very worried about the Phillies bullpen. It has not been great. Offensively, they weren't swinging the bats great coming into the playoffs either. They scored 2, 0, 3, and 1 over their last 4 games. So we'll see if they're able to bounce back here a little bit, but it didn't exactly look amazing there at the end of the season. Over the course of the year, obviously, they were great offensively, but we'll see what it looks like in this one going up against Ohtani. Now, looking at the numbers for this game, the Dodgers are plus 100, the Phillies are minus 120. Totals out there of 7 or 7.5. The Dodgers, 39 and 40 on the road, 44, 34, and 1 to the under on the road. The Phillies, 55 and 26 at home, so a great home team, 41, 36, and 4 to the over at home. I don't have a big lean on the total here. I guess maybe I would take over 7, but I don't have a lot of conviction there. That's going to need the bullpens to kind of collapse, but I will take the Dodgers here at plus 100. I think it's a very good lean. I think Ohtani is built for this kind of situation. I think him being on the mound is definitely helpful for the Dodgers. I think their bullpen can be okay in this matchup. So yeah, give me the Dodgers here at plus 100. I think it's a pretty solid spot. Last but not least here, guys, we're going to be looking at the Detroit Tigers going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. Now, the Tigers needed 3 games to get past the Guardians. They did get some help there in winning that last one 6-3, but they played well. Avoiding a really catastrophic end to a really catastrophic collapse down the stretch of this season. They're going to hand the ball in game 1 here to Troy Melton. That means it's a bullpen start. This young 24-year-old right-hander has done some good stuff this year out of the pen, but his last outing was against Cleveland, and it did not go great. And honestly, either one of his appearances against Cleveland haven't gone well. So we'll see what he can do here against the Mariners. Obviously a different team, but probably a tougher team, to be honest. And you're putting a 24-year-old out there on a big league mound in a playoff game. A lot can go wrong there. Also, the Tigers' bullpen over the course of the year has not been great. So I'm very worried about their pitching situation. Offensively, they scored 6-1 and 2 against the Guardians. It wasn't terrible, but this is not a juggernaut of a team offensively. The whole second half of the season, the Tigers' bats have been very, very suspect. So we'll see what they do here on the road against the Mariners, who are 90 and 72 on the year. They had a great year. Cal Raleigh hitting 60 home runs as a catcher. Insane stuff. Now, we'll see what they can do in the playoffs to make this thing really, really count as an amazing season. They're going to hand the ball in game 1 to George Kirby. He's 10 and 8 on the season, a 4.21 ERA. This young 27-year-old finished the season off looking really good. He struck out 14, 7, and 10 over his last 3 games. Those are starts against the Angels, Astros, and the Dodgers. So we'll see what he looks like here against the Tigers. Could be an interesting spot for him. The last time he faced the Tigers was all the way back in July, and it didn't go amazing, but that was a long time ago. So we'll see what this one looks like. The Mariners bullpen, it's been fine, better than the Tigers for sure, but definitely not an elite level bullpen. The offense, though, has been impressive this season. Now, their last 3 games against the Dodgers that didn't matter, not quite so impressive, scoring 2, 3, and 1, but I'm expecting big stuff from them in this one. I mean, they're 9th in the majors in runs scored. They're 20th in batting average, 11th in on-base percentage, We'll see what they can do here against that Tigers bullpen. I'm expecting good stuff. So looking at the numbers for this game, the Tigers are big underdogs. They're plus 180. The Mariners are minus 220. We've got a total of 7 in this game. Detroit 43-41 on the road, 44-38 2 to the over on the road. The Mariners 51-30 at home, 41-36 4 to the over at home. I think over 7 is probably the best lean on this game. I think we're going to see some offense out there, and I definitely like there to be at least 8 runs scored in this one. But in terms of a side, I'm not going to take the Tigers in this spot. I will take the Mariners. But once again, guys, as such huge favorites, I really just think the total is the way you want to go. I'll take over 7 in this one before I take anything else. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. I'm more than happy to get back to you. I appreciate everybody watching. Make sure you're clicking the link to get over there to stumpthespread.com. Get on that free email list. Check out all of our free picks over there, and definitely check out the premium stuff, guys. It's a loaded weekend of MLB, college football, and NFL action. So definitely get in on that, guys. And we'll be right back here on Sunday to cover the whole NFL slate. So I'll see you then with more sports betting action.